Good morning, grade 7s. It is Wednesday, the 6th of May. Hope you're all keeping well and keeping fit and active, and I hope you are having a productive lockdown. So, last week's videos we spoke about area and perimeter, and that was focusing mainly on 2D shapes. Today I want to talk about surface area, and surface area relates to solids, meaning our 3D objects. 3D means 3 dimensions. It has length, breadth, and height included. So the surface area of a solid is the area of all its faces added together. The total surface area of the net makes up that object. Right, I'm going to be discussing 3 important 3D objects that we get, and we're going to go step by step on how to calculate the surface area of each. So, our first example is a cube. You'll notice here, I've got a picture of my cube. Okay? If I were to unfold it, I get this diagram on the left. This diagram on the left is called a net of a 3D object. Meaning if I were to fold this up all again, it should give me this 3D object, which is a cube. Right. So I've given you the dimensions, and we know that a cube is made up out of 6 squares. I know that all sides are equal on a square, and I've got length, I've got breadth, and I've got height. So each of these dimensions measure 5 centimeters. So first things first, I'm going to work out the area of one square. So I've got a purple square over here and a purple square over there. My formula for working out any type of area of a square is length times breadth. So I've got 5 centimeters times 5 centimeters, which gives me 25 centimeters squared. But we're not done yet. We have to find out the total surface area. So I said I need to calculate the surface area of a cube, meaning that there are 6 squares. Each have 25 centimeters squared as their area. So if I say 6 times 25 centimeters squared, I get my total surface area of 150 centimeters squared. Right, so that is for your cube. The next 3D object that we are looking at is our rectangular prism. And I know this might look like a little bit of a confusion. Don't worry, I'm going to go over it step by step with you. Right, so here is my rectangular prism on the left. This is what a rectangular prism looks like, or a cuboid. If I were to unfold it now, I have got my net. Okay, so picture this tissue box again. This is a rectangular prism or a cuboid, and I'd maybe like you to try this at home. If you have an empty tissue box, I'd like you to take it apart and see that it folds out to this diagram on the right hand side of your page. It's net. So if you were to fold it all up again, it should give you this diagram on the left. So I've got my length, my breadth, and my height. And on the diagram, I have labeled. This is all my lengths. So these are all 8 centimeters. My height sits over here and over here. Okay, so this height is 6 centimeters. That height is 6 centimeters. I've got my breadth over there and over there. Okay, and that is 4 centimeters. Right, so the surface area, you can see that I have got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 rectangles as well. But I have 3 matching pairs when it comes to a rectangular prism. So I have 2 turquoise rectangles, 2 purple rectangles, and 2 red rectangles. So my surface area, I'd have to work out each area individually. So here's my formula. I say my area of my purple rectangle plus the area of my turquoise rectangle plus the area of my red rectangle. Okay, and I'm going to multiply it all by 2 because there are 2 turquoise, 2 purple, and 2 red. So my formula for each of them would be 2 times length times breadth plus 2 times length times breadth plus 2 times length times breadth. All right, so now I go to my purple box and I see I've got length as 8 centimeters. My breadth over here would be 4 centimeters. So multiply them together, I get 32 centimeters squared. My turquoise box, I've got a length of 8 centimeters and my breadth, which is also known as my height here, is 6 centimeters. So 8 times 6 gives me 48 centimeters squared. Then I'll go lastly to my red box and I see that I have got my height, so that is 6 centimeters, and my breadth, which is 4 centimeters. 6 times 4 gives me 24 centimeters squared. If I multiply each of them by 2 individually, I get 64 centimeters squared plus 96 centimeters squared plus 48 centimeters squared. If I add them all together, I get a total of 208 centimeters squared. So my rectangular prism has got a surface area of 208 centimeters squared. Right. And lastly, I have a triangular prism. Now, what's important to note about a triangular prism is that it consists of 2 rectangles that are the same, so my red squares. I've got a purple rectangle as well as 2 identical triangles on either side. So, I've given you these dimensions, length, breadth, height, as well as a perpendicular height. Perpendicular height is this height over here, okay, of my triangle. So it's represented by that line, that solid line over there. Right, so my surface area for my triangular prism would be as follows. I take my area of my purple rectangle. I've only got one of them, okay? So it's easy, length times breadth. So 11 centimeters times 8 centimeters gives me 88 centimeters squared. I then move on to my red rectangles, and I have got 2 of them. And I say length times breadth, which gives me 11 centimeters times 5 centimeters, which gives me 55 centimeters squared. But I still have to multiply it by 2 because I've got 2 of them. Then I'm going to go to my triangles and see I've got 2 triangles. My formula for area of a triangle is a half my base times my perpendicular height. So I've got half of 8 centimeters times 3 centimeters. 8 times 3 is 24. Half that gives me 12 centimeters. I also need to multiply it by 2 because I've got 2 identical triangles. So if I work it out, I've got 88 centimeters squared plus 110 centimeters squared plus 24 centimeters squared. And my total surface area for this triangular prism is 222 centimeters squared. So the most important thing that you can take away from all of these examples is that it is important to color code each shape individually. Okay, so in this instance you have 2 red rectangles, so they must be the same in dimension. You've got 1 purple rectangle, which is only 1 rectangle with 1 dimensions of 11 and 8, and you've got 2 triangles of your same dimensions. Okay, so it is important to color code. Remember that it will help you determine which shape belongs to which and how many shapes are you multiplying at the end of the day. In your GDE Blue Book, on pages 140 to 145, there are some really great examples that you can have a look at and really good applications for real life and real day examples. Please can you complete those pages for me by Thursday, so that's tomorrow, the 7th of May. I would also need you to do these in your workbook. Make these notes with all of these calculations as I have shown you in this video. So thank you very much. I hope you've learned something. I hope it's not too confusing. Don't forget to do your blue book for Thursday. Have a lovely day. May it be productive. Keep well. Stay safe.